The W at this junction in time would be better without Caitlin Clark because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness? Do you think you do?
Brace yourself, Clark Nation. The ride is about to get rough. But don't lose heart, because you can't make sense of nonsense unless your name is Emmanuel Acho. I want you to hear the rest of what he had to say in this podcast that he has called SpeakEasy. They're circling the wagons. The attention that the W is getting right now is not the attention they want. This is not the narrative they want. This story is finally going national, and they're trying to put their spin on it, and they look ridiculous trying to do it. It is so funny to see someone who is articulate and intelligent as Emmanuel Acho take Alyssa Thomas's side in this act. Do you think for a moment, if the script were flipped, Emmanuel Acho would be defending Caitlin Clark? Let's listen to the rest of nonsense.
The W at this junction in time would be better without Caitlin Clark because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive. Caitlin Clark has gotten the WNBA over the necessary threshold they needed. Now people are watching. Now we realize, oh, there's talent in the W, talent that's actually even greater than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not just talking about bigs like Asia. I'm talking about the Olivia Miles. I'm talking about the Paige Beckers. Hell, I'm talking about the Kelsey Mitchells.
I'm not going to belabor this point into submission, but I have to ask rhetorically, if this were a woman of color that had did this for the WNBA, do you think Emmanuel Acho would be making these outlandish comments? Do you think if a woman of color took the league from underwater to floating, okay, not quite where it need to be, but floating above water, do you think people trying to push her out of the door would be appropriate? Do you think any people of color would stand for this for a moment? What is Emmanuel Acho talking about? You see how he goes deeper and deeper and deeper out into the water he cannot swim in. This is what it looks like when you try to make sense out of nonsense.
Caitlin got the necessary eyes there. But now that the eyes are there, we don't necessarily need her anymore. Caitlin did what only Caitlin could do, and we don't necessarily need her to do anymore. Thank you, Caitlin. We can take it from here.
That's like riding somewhere. That's like asking somebody for a ride somewhere, and you get almost to the point, and you say, you want to drive now, I'll take over from here. And then it's not even your car. Can you imagine? The more Emmanuel says, the less he seems to know. Who is we? Thank you. You heard what he said? Thank you, Caitlin. We don't need you no more. Come on now. Come on. If this were a woman of color, do you think anybody would stand for this? If this were Boomer Esiason saying that, you know what, we don't need this woman of color no more. You've gotten the league to where it is now. So just step away and go away because you now have become a distraction. Do you think anybody would be going for that? That's how you know you are witnessing foolishness at the highest levels. Foolishness. You can't defend this. Look how silly they look trying to defend this play that this young lady made. Regrettably, I know if this woman has any sense, she needs to just come out and make a public statement and just apologize for her actions so we can move forward. The more people try to make sense of nonsense, the uglier this is going to get for Alyssa Thomas, the W, and anybody trying to defend it. You know what the irony in this is? they were attacking Caitlin Clark and going after her fans for being racist, for being bigoted, for being the fans that they didn't care for. Now look at who is the fans that we don't care for. No one can defend this act. No one can defend this play. And anyone that does, I want you to look at them with the side eye. I need you to look at them with the side eye and look at the perspective they're trying to come from. I want you to hear them out and just listen to the rest of this now. Listen to what he's saying, because none of it is making any sense.
Now you're saying that the WNBA needs to be cognizant of where they put Caitlin Clark on posters. The WNBA and the officials need to alter the rules for Caitlin Clark. The WNBA and opposing players need to treat Caitlin Clark more gently. Caitlin Clark's coach needs to be cognizant of how she talks to her in public, because it's going to look like there's an issue. Unless we can take off our gloves for Caitlin Clark and stop trying to act like she's a messiah, the WNBA could and would be better off without Caitlin Clark, at least without this version of everybody coddling and caressing and catering to Caitlin Clark.
Isn't it amazing that you can get the league? You could. I'm sorry, yeah, but this is so funny to me. Isn't it amazing that you can get the league from irrelevance to relevance, and now you have an expiration date? You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Alyssa Thomas, anybody that knows Alyssa, just apologize. Alyssa, you know what you did was wrong. If you're sitting at home, you and DeWanna, y'all know what y'all did was wrong. DeWanna, you got kids. You know, if you see any other person or no, any other child do that, what you saw to your child, you would be beside yourself. Parents, anybody with children, if your child is done like that and the referee doesn't blow the whistle or foul or eject somebody, you all will have to be carried away in a straitjacket. The referees would have to be escorted to their cars by law enforcement. Stop trying to make sense of nonsense. This play, this act, you cannot defend. And the more you all trying to defend it, the more humiliating it is and how you look. This says a lot about who you are when you try to defend this play. Again, back to my litmus test. If the shoe were on the other foot, do you think the people that are trying to defend Alyssa Thomas would defend a Caitlin Clark in the same perspective? If you flip the script, this is my litmus test. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at an act of this magnitude and you look at the sides people are willing to take, apply a simple litmus test to this equation. Flip the script. If you have the same energy, I respect you as a person. Meaning, if this were Caitlin Clark with her fist on Alyssa Thomas's neck, and I know y'all saying, "Oh, that would never happen," but let's go with the hypothetical. Would you defend Caitlin Clark as vigorously as you're trying to defend Alyssa Thomas? And if that answer is yes, then Alyssa Thomas, you need to apologize. If the answer is no, then you are the bigot. You are race baiting. You are using this to race bait society. Don't fall for it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let them divide. Don't let this issue divide this country over a moment that happened in a basketball game that wasn't properly adjudicated by the officials on the floor. The officials on the floor are the gatekeepers. They were supposed to call that act out for what it was, but since they didn't do their job, this is what you have now. If that refereeing crew would have done their job and went to the monitor and properly taken the proper action against this play, we could talk about this in a context of, in terms of common sense. They did the right thing. They took the right action. Now we need to make sure the appropriate suspension is put in place, and we can move forward. Everybody with their own lives. But the more you try to make sense of this, it's nonsense. The worse you look. Chinea Gumake, you already have your history. Like you jumped out. Remember when you thought it was Caitlin Clark fans making that slur? You jumped out in the water and you had to retract your statement. Now you doing the same thing again. Why are y'all trying to blame the woman at the bottom of that, under the fist? Why are y'all trying to make it seem like it's her fault? That's ridiculous, because you wouldn't have this same energy if Alyssa Thomas was on the bottom of this issue. You all wouldn't have that. You all wouldn't be thinking the way you are. That's how you know you're wrong. Admit it. Let's move forward. Alyssa Thomas, make a public apology. Apologize to Caitlin Clark nationally. Or meet her up, come shake her hand. You all hug it out, even if it's just for the moment, because you need to mend this fence before this divides people for the wrong reasons. No one, if this were a woman of color, would take this. Everyone would be saying Caitlin Clark needs to be suspended indefinitely. That's what y'all would be saying. So why doesn't that apply the other way? That's my litmus test. You all have a blessed day. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.